Welcome to the Wealth Rebel Show. This is yet another amazing interview that I brought to you as part of the Wealth Rebels launch show on the 18th of September. It is the final installment of this day that I'm going to bring to you of the guests that I had. And here I interviewed Luke Doyle. Hello, Luke, who has become someone that I really admire in North Devon. I met Luke at Saunton Sands. He is my trainer, one of the trainers that I work with at Saunton, and I feel has become a friend, whose many talents do include his personal training, fitness business. He teaches me how to do handstands constantly and pushes me out of my comfort zone on a regular basis. And, he pushes my boundaries when we're down at Saunton. He's also a qualified yogi. I know he spent time in Bali, which is just incredible that he went on that journey. A Pilates instructor. I mean, what he can do with his body and his mind really inspires me constantly. And I couldn't wait when I knew that I was launching this show to get Luke to come on and talk to you, because I really believe that Luke really embodies the pillar of lifestyle because he's living his life, he's doing it fully his way, like, unapologetically, but has a soul and a heart of gold. He's also a fireman, right? He's on standby. And this interview was done at the station where, it just shows you can do all the things that you love, give back, and have this adventurous lifestyle. So I just really can't wait for you to hear this conversation. Luke's wealth, when we dived in at the end of the interview, which was absolute gold, just showed that, his wealth is really embodied by his ability to be that adventurer, to be spontaneous from the friends that he keeps. He has all of these eclectic friendships that represent different parts of who he is. And he feels like he's at the center of that, being all of these different people. And I really resonate with that. I have friends that are different, and that's really great for me because I love that difference and that energy that different people bring into my life. And that is the same for what he has in his business, right? His business is this beautiful, eclectic mix that really represents his personality, showing that you can do all of these different things. You can be a business owner, you can be a really great friend, you can have an adventure lifestyle. You don't have to be tied down to one place or one thing. You can have freedom, and freedom is something that I really, really love to embody. So, I talked about this. Luke's wealth was defined by spontaneity, and he converted his van. He talks about this at the end, which allows him to travel to Italy through the Dolomites. And I used to do that as a kid. I was like, wow, like I went to Italy as a kid, and driving to Italy at the drop of a hat is just an incredible thing to do. And that's one of the things that he invested his time and energy and money into doing for his van lifestyle, right? So Luke fully embodies the pillar of lifestyle, but he also embodies all other aspects of the wheel of wealth, from his well-being, his energy, his abundance, his lifestyle, his time, and his health. All of these things, that wealth wheel that we all know. Wealth is not just about money, it's about all of the things that wealth gives you. So find out more about this interview, dive into the interview now. And yeah, I can't wait to see you on the other side. And thank you, Luke. Namaste. LinkedIn. So there we go. Right. Let me just see if I can bring you on stage.
Hey.
Hey.
Hello.
Okay. I'm good. How are you? You are
Very
live
good.
on LinkedIn. Hello. I've sacked off completely Facebook now because the tech issues were just not
Oh
worth
dear.
it, and we weren't going in live. So we'll get into, we've been live all morning for people that have been following me and liking and sharing comments and WhatsApping me. Appreciate so much the support that we've had today with relaunching the podcast and the YouTube channel. So today is all about the Wealth Rebel show. I am getting a little bit of feedback, Luke. I don't know if that's things are duplicate
Feedback.
side, but what I'm going to do is
Do you want me to turn it down, maybe?
Yeah, that would be amazing. Because I'll do a little intro in a minute because we will record a part of this, even though we're live. I will go into like a 3, 2, 1 so I can do it for the audio and video for the actual podcast and YouTube channel. So yeah, so just as a bit of a recap, I've given up on Facebook. So if anyone was watching me on Facebook, I couldn't even get the thing to kind of carry on there. So we're in LinkedIn live. I've been live all morning, Luke, as you know, since 10 o'clock this morning, and I just had to go and move my knees. And I'll talk about that a little bit with you, because it fits really perfectly with something you shared on Instagram. So I'm going to start doing the audio for today's talk with you, Luke, now. So welcome, Luke Doyle, to the Wealth Rebels live show. Today we are live on LinkedIn, and also you will be going out onto podcast and YouTube. So I met Luke recently at my beloved Saunton Sands. Luke teaches a few of the classes there, one named Sweat and one named Burn It. And let me tell you, he doesn't disappoint. When I work out with Luke, I both sweat and I burn it. Sometimes thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to survive this session, but there's somehow I do. And I feel like absolutely amazing when I do. But you don't stop like with traditional workouts. I'm also learning to do handstands, which let me tell you, when you learn how to properly do a handstand, it's harder than it looks, and it made my head hurt quite a bit. But you were an amazing athlete, like you like some sort of like circus performer, and I also learned that you are a firefighter. You also do massage, for which I've experienced 2 massages from you, Luke, which has just been amazing. It's exactly what I needed at this time in my life. I highly, highly recommend you for that. But one thing that stood out for me that, as I've gotten to know you over the last few months is that you're just living a beautiful life. You really embody the pillar of lifestyle in the wealth formula. And you know you live your best life, you do all of these things, you spend time with I think you've got a dog that I've seen on Instagram, and you just fit perfectly into the lifestyle pillar. So thank you for being here today. I know you're also on call, so if you have to suddenly disappear, you have a really good reason. So welcome to today's live, Luke.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm actually at the fire. I'm at the fire station at the moment, so we'll know if it goes off.
Amazing! Look at that. We are live streaming from the fire station in South Molton in North Devon.
There you go.
There you go. And doesn't that just show you the beautiful thing of what you can achieve in life and in business, that you can just do anything anywhere really, like with we just have these, we put all of these constraints on ourselves, and a lot of it, especially around lifestyle, we put on ourselves, that we can't live a really beautiful life each and every day, and how we have to do certain things. So I just want to dive into the story of you. Obviously, I've gotten to know you for the last few months, but I always find that these conversations, I just get to know people on this deeper level. And I wanted you to share a little bit about your story of how you've transitioned from through your life to being a firefighter, to being a PT, a masseuse, and hanging out with your dog and being so grounded from what I can see. Yeah, tell me a little bit about you.
Yeah, I feel fairly grounded, I think. So I've been doing like PT and massage for over a decade now. So been doing it for quite a long time. Pretty much straight out of college, I trained in kind of sports performance and excellence. It was my where I went from school to college, and then from there, kind of the personal training route was just one of the clear paths in front of me. Never really put too much thought into wanting to do it, but fell into it and fell in love with it basically. And the massage came alongside that course, so I didn't have much choice in that. So again, I fell into that, and I fell in love with that too. So it's been a really good path to go down, and it also keeps things quite varied for me, which I love. That's why I do lots of different things, keeping it new. And I don't work from one place all the time, which I also love. I go all over the place in North Devon. I work from people's homes. I work from my home, and from various gyms as well. So it's really good. What was it, like 5 years ago? I applied for the fire service just because it was close to my home, and whilst I do my online work, it's handy to be able to be on call for the service. We do get paid for it. It's not too much, but we don't do it for the money. We do it for kind of the experience and to help out the community a little bit more. You tend to learn lots of very good skills with it. We're not just a fire service, we're a fire and rescue service. So we learn things like water rescue, animal rescue, safety at heights and confined spaces as well. So there's lots of different things, lots of different things that we have to learn and have to be good at. So we train every week to keep that up as well. So that's kind of how I fell into it. My mum was a firefighter as well. So as I was growing up, I was watching her do it. So yeah, that was a bit of an inspiration for me. So that's a nice stepping stone into it. And yeah, it works really well alongside what I do at the moment, which is great. I like to be my own boss, but also having like a structure around everything is quite handy too. So yeah, that's
I love that. I love that.
that in a
I love that
nutshell.
you don't do it for the money. A big part of like my wealth coaching is it's not about the money.
Yeah,
Fell into it. You fell into it. And I don't sometimes think we fall into things. I think things just happen, find us at the right
yeah,
time. And then you
yeah,
fell in love with it. And that's really important because when you do things that you love, like it just becomes a part of your life, right?
yeah. That's it. Yeah, yeah. I tend to. Well, I put it down to just I tend to fall into a lot of things, but things tend to come along at the right time, and if the opportunity presents itself, then why not?
And I
So
love that your mum was a firefighter too, right?
yeah,
That's brilliant, bashing away some of the gender biases that we have about these things.
yeah, that's it. Part of her job now. She's not on call now. She's part of like diversity and inclusion in the fire service. So she's one of the people that work to get more women and minorities into the fire service, because it is quite a straight white male type of industry. Um, so getting or encouraging people to come into the fire service kind of increases like different skills as well, which is great. So it's starting to change, which is good. But she's a good one for changing that.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like, I feel like one of the things that I'm super curious about, because you said, you love variety. I'm so the same. Like, can't live and work in the same place. I'm like, oh, where are you today? Like, everyone's always like, oh, I wonder where Emma's going to be today. I work from Node. Sometimes I work from Saunton. Sometimes I'm at home, or like I'll go and pitch up, and I'll go somewhere in London, and I'll just be all over the place. And variety for me is really important, but it's not always like about the places. It's for me, it's the connections, it's the people that I might come across, it's the conversations I might have, and that connection. Talk me through like a day in the life of Luke, then, your lifestyle. Like, how does your life look like from day to day, from when you get up to when
My
you go to bed?
it's quite sporadic, to be honest. I don't have too much of a routine because people tend to book in with me as and when they want me. And especially with things like massage, people don't tend to have massages weekly. So I don't have like a weekly slot for people. It tends to be like bi-weekly or monthly or as and when they need it. So from that respect, it's very sporadic. Personal training and classes is a little bit more routine. So my day tends to start about 8. I'll get up and have my breakfast whilst doing some online work. So I run an online 4-week challenge, it's called. So that's basically getting people into good habits with food and exercise. So I check on my group and seeing how they're getting on, any check-ins to look over, and questions to answer, things like that. And if I need to tweak any programs, So it's quite a slow. I tend to have quite slow mornings, which is lovely. It's part of my like perfect day, if you know what I mean. Then I tend to my work is kind of evening based, I'm a bit of a night owl anyway, so it kind of works for me. So for example, in Saunton, I think I finish at like 7:30 most times, which is not too bad. But then I've got an hour's drive home, so it tends to be fairly late in the day. But I also have time off during the day, which I love again. So I can take Dora out, which is my dog. We can go out for a run, or we can go to the gym. I prefer being in a quiet gym, so doing it in the day is much better for me. And on days like this, beautiful days, I like to sit out on the hammock and just do some like paperwork, if you like, you know what I mean, which is lovely. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my days. And then in between, if I'm sitting at home, I can be on call at the same time. So trying to be productive, one of them.
Amazing. I love that. I love that you don't have a routine, that you don't have like it is sporadic, because one of the biggest things that I think holds people back from living like the lifestyle that they want to lead, they say that they want freedom, right? And they say that they want to have like sovereignty and do things differently, but then they have to have this massive structure. I'm one of those people. I'm really learning to like go with the flow. Having been a planner my whole life, I'm like feel like I'm unraveling all of these really, I say bad habits, like habits, routines, and structure. Living a lifestyle with no routine and just being really comfortable with what might flow in is a gift, I feel, right?
Yeah, gift and a skill. Sometimes, my life's been a little bit, it's been up in the air a little bit recently because I bought a house a few years ago, ended up buying the house, getting the dog in lockdown, and then broke up with my partner. So ended up selling the house, and we share the dog now, which is actually works very well. I know a lot of people tend to think, "Oh my god," but being able to share the dog means that I can go away on holiday, or if I've got a busy week at work, then we can kind of work it around like that. So it still works really well. Like 3 years later, but ever since then, like I've not had a proper house or home, if you like. So I've just been dotting around places. Got really lucky. I was in a bit of a house share before I went to Bali in May to do my yoga teacher training. So after that, I said to the house share that I wasn't going to come back, and then when I got back, something else popped up. So kind of just floating through, and ends up things tend to work themselves out, which is great. But yeah, I guess it's who you know as well as what you know, isn't it? So yeah, I'm pretty blessed in that respect.
I don't know about who you know.
No?
I think like I went on I went on retreat this week.
Oh yeah,
I went to Lisbon, and I did not know a person. I literally
yeah,
didn't know. I didn't know anybody, and I made friends as soon as I got on the plane, especially when
yeah.
we got diverted to Faro, which was an interesting concept. And again, that was stepping into this is fine, this is spontaneous. I was not meant to be in Faro. And I'm finding the more that you release like those, like, that I do things because I know this is going to happen and my lifestyle is going to be in flow, and I never know who I'm going to meet. I never know
Mm.
I'm going to have a really crazy conversation with Carl of talking, as you know. Um, you know,
But you
having
do.
that part of my lifestyle is talking. Um, I think that sometimes not knowing someone can be so expansive, and just
Yeah,
being
I totally agree. When I went to Bali with the yoga teacher training, I didn't know anybody, and being thrown into a group of 15 women, and I was the only man there, which was it was an experience, but it was lovely at the same time having that energy. They were all super supportive, and yeah, just getting to know everyone from scratch is amazing. And you've got no expectations to uphold, or people just seeing you as you are, which I think is great. And as you say, like if you get on a plane and you're open to talking to people, then you could potentially make great friends with anyone.
Oh yeah, like I feel like I pick up friends like on a daily basis at the minute, which is so weird because I think when you open yourself up and you open your heart up to life being this abundant gift, people just flow in. And not having expectations is really, really important because expectations just leads to attachment, which just leads to,
Yeah.
I feel like, a diminishing of wealth. When I think about wealth, expectations become quite toxic, and
Mm.
you put your wealth in your life and everything that you want to create in somebody else's hands. And also the pressure that that puts on that person to deliver to those expectations is like, it's crazy. So I think the fact that you can go to somewhere like Bali and not have any expectations and throw yourself in with 15 women, this is quite a journey, right? I
Yeah,
love
totally.
that. I love that. And you came, obviously, you then kind of then became back in doing yoga as well, like just adding more and more skills. It's interesting you said being spontaneous is a skill.
Mm.
Like if all of these things is a gift, all of it's a gift, and having gifts you need to master.
Yeah.
It's like any skill. You have to master it. You have to learn how to be where you want to be. It's not easy. Often you're going against like completely what society tells you and how society tells you that you should live. You
Mm.
know, the way that you live for a lot of people is really different, which is why I just felt like, hearing your story and hearing from someone like you would be really inspiring for other people to think, do you know what? I can live differently and I can do something like, being on call for the fire in the firefighting service. You're
Yeah.
giving back, you're learning skills that you can take into your life, but you're not doing it for the money. And it just gives you this really varied experience that you do then take into what you're doing in all your other areas of your life, right?
Yeah. I mean, it certainly all crosses over in some respects. But it's also about getting a little bit of life experience and learning from other people. Like everyone is so different on my station. Everyone's got different jobs that come from different places and got different skills. So everyone can learn from each other, which is great. And having such a tight group of people is really nice to have. Like we're just like a band of brothers. Really, it's great. So like being a firefighter, sometimes we don't see some very nice things, but
Yeah.
having each other can be, you know, make or break, pretty much.
Yeah. Being in a
So
team, being that brand of brothers. I was part of my sisters in the retreat last week.
yeah,
I don't usually spend that much time with lots of women actually.
yeah,
And for me, I was really quite nervous about that and about that experience. And it was massively, massively out of my comfort zone. I was in a dorm room. There's a dorm room. It was a beautiful shanty house, but it was just a room with like 8 bunk beds, and I was top bunk. Getting in and out of bunk beds is interesting. I was definitely learning a new skill that time, but
yeah,
we have to step outside of our comfort zone. And then we also need to realize that we're not like separate. We are this team. We work, when we work together, we're stronger together. And
mm,
I just think that's so beautiful that you have that with the fire service. And that definitely spills out into the way that you are, the way that you do your sport, the way that you do your burn it and sweat classes,
yeah,
because no session is the same. I
mm,
never know what I'm going to expect, which I think is really good when you're doing an exercise. If you know what you're going to do, it's really boring, and then you get bored, and then you get more tired. I'm like,
yeah,
what's going to happen next? Oh my gosh, you're telling me I have to do this for 8 minutes. I'm not going to survive because, like, me now. I go out of the docks like really fast, and I'm like super fast, and then I'm like, we're still going. What? We've got another 5 minutes. Oh my gosh, I did not factor this in. But I find this resilience because I'm like super competitive with myself. Like,
you
oh
are
my,
very competitive.
yeah, yeah. And I'm really owning that because that's who I am.
No,
Like,
it's great.
I'm really, I got quite a lot of growing up, and in the last, like, I'd probably say in the last like 20 years, it's always been quite a negative thing to be competitive or want to win. You know, I love a board game. And I had this,
Yeah, I remember you saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love a board game. I'm like, well, what's the point if you don't
Mm,
want to win? It's okay to want to win. It's okay to want to be the best. And it's actually okay to embody what it is for you. You know, whatever you want to do, you have to just be authentically yourself. And that's so, so important. I was having
mm.
a conversation recently with my neighbor about you know, about board games and wanting to win. And it just made me laugh because I was expecting to stay and go, yeah, Emma, you're really competitive. And he was like, yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of people do agree. Like, why do you want to play a board game and not want to win? Doesn't it
Yeah.
really annoy when someone's not paying attention and they're getting distracted by their phone and they're not concentrating when it's their turn? Yeah. But it's
Mm,
so funny. Like, I love the energy that you bring through that kind of team approach. You really incorporate that into the classes, like, and you know, working together, doing the circuits together. You can't finish until your team's finished.
yeah.
The varied nature. It's really, it just makes me want to come back. And I think that's really important when someone's starting to create a lifestyle change of incorporating
Mm.
fitness into their lives if they haven't maybe done that in the past. I think that's really important.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes it can be, if you're going into like a fitness journey on your own, it can be really difficult to stay consistent with it. But if you're doing it with someone else, or if you meet a group of people, then it makes it so much easier. So yeah, that's why classes are so good. That people can go and make some friends and have. Some people don't have any people in their lives that are into fitness or health at all. So it's really important that people have a space to do that, which is why gyms and classes are so good. But I know they
And
can
that's
be
why I
quite
started at
daunting as well.
Saunton, right? I
Yeah.
started going to Saunton 18 months ago because my situation, I felt like I needed an outlet and it became a sanctuary for me.
Mm.
It became a place where I had sauna chats, love sauna chats. I can talk to anyone anywhere, literally. And I just felt no matter what was going on, I could be there for a few hours and be connected, do a workout, feel like I was making positive steps in my health and wellness. So I was like recalibrating all of my fight, flight, freeze, all of that in a really, really amazing place. And that is so important. People don't think of gyms as a place of sanctuary often. They think of it, they can be quite negative. I've got to go to the gym. When I chose Saunton, I chose it for the spa first because I watched Limitless on Disney with Chris Hemsworth, not for Chris Hemsworth. I watched it for
Of course.
very important messages of that Limitless was talking about, and it brought up sauna. And I already knew about hot and cold. I'd already done the Wim Hof experience, the cold ice in Jersey in 2022, and I was like, I need sauna. I need to do this every week. And I was like, Saunton has they're like one of the few places in North Devon that has a sauna, right? And I remember saying to my neighbor again, like my neighbor that plays board games, I'm going to join Saunton. And this was 18 months ago. He's like, have you won the lottery? And I was like, because it's quite fancy, isn't it? But it's
It
not.
is quite fancy,
It
but you
isn't.
get what you pay for there, don't
You
you?
do. And
Yeah.
that's all I do most of the time. And, you know, I live now a really different life to the life that I used to lead. I really prioritize my health. You know, the parking that I get when I don't, you know, all the things that I get from my
Yeah.
membership there. Well, I really, and then I started going once a week for sauna and after yoga, and now I go. As you know, I go there a lot. There's to a point where they were going, oh, she's here again, and I'm like, maybe I need to do something different. But you know, and I haven't been for a while because I've been away for a few weeks traveling, and I'm starting to get withdrawal symptoms. But that's the thing, you know, if you do something because you should do it, you're not going to maintain it. But if you do something that you find that community and that connection, that team element, that love,
Definitely.
and something that's going to be varied, and you certainly bring the varied, that's going to push yourself out your comfort zone. I want to come onto this comfort zone with you in a minute, but I think that's so important, because you are pushing yourself out your comfort zone at the minute, aren't you, with your running,
Oh
right?
yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, so I've signed up for a ultra marathon in May. So that's a 50K in it's very very hilly as well. It's in France, near Mont Blanc, I think it is. So it's going to be very very hilly. It's going to be really difficult, 50K. And yeah, I'm not a runner, not at all. So I did I did a run yesterday actually. I did what was it 7K, which was fine. Um, yeah, but it's nothing that
I'm
I
going
would
to call you
ever
out on
normally do.
this.
Sorry.
You are not, if you believe I am not a runner, you are not going to be a runner. I guarantee you,
Very good
when you
point.
were 18 and you went into, PT and all of that, did you ever think that you would be a firefighter or all the things that you've achieved, like your gymnastic, like the things that you can do? You can lower your body like down and do these things. And I'm like, what the flip? Like, but I believe it or not, 18 months ago, I was not a runner. I couldn't do, I did yoga a bit, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't have called myself a yogi. I would not have called myself any of these things. But then I made a commitment and I stopped saying that I am a runner, because whatever you say I am to is really powerful.
Very good point. Going off the back of that, actually, I do like to challenge. I think that's kind of my ego talking, isn't it? It's like I am this, I am that. When I'd say I'm not a runner, I've never been. I've run in the past, but I've always disliked it because it's hard and it hurts. But it's the same kind of thing with yoga. Before I went to Bali to train to be a yoga teacher, I had never done yoga before, so it was kind of trying to dispel the ego of I am not that. That's not
Yeah.
me. Just
And it is
because.
the ego. That's really important, Luke. It is your ego talking, because it's your mind that forms these beliefs about what it is
Yeah.
to be a runner.
So
So it
yeah,
is.
I do like to challenge that because it is I say that I'm not a runner, but I guess I will be, or I am now.
Well, 18 months ago, when I started running with my dog, Doris, around the vineyard, and I don't share my dog. My dog lives still with, because I have the rental. I can't have a dog here, which is such a shame.
Yeah.
But I do have two beautiful children that I share. And literally 18 months ago, I did not run, but I just started doing it just to clear my head. That was where I kind of started. Before then I joined Saunton. I just started running, and it's about 4K around
Mm.
Swimbridge. Swimbridge. You'd probably drive through Swimbridge quite a lot getting to this, especially when the link road is closed. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I started just doing that quite regularly, and then before I knew it, I I just was loving it. It was just, I was doing it for, not for running or for speed, for my head, and trying not to trip over Doris most of the time because she's a collie and she bites my ankles. Um,
No.
then started, and this is something that transformed for me. I started yoga and also built in kettlebells and strength, and that had a profound impact on my running, because I then had strength and cardio to go with
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
along with like a cardiovascular system that works, because I started doing hot and cold. And I really believe all of these different elements bring in this holistic approach. And this is your lifestyle. When you think about your lifestyle, for me, it's doing these little things that's going to complement everything that is super wealthy for me to do all of the things. And now I can't live without running. And I love to talk on a run then. I just talk the whole time.
You did your 14K the other day, did you?
I'm right. And I was like, do the bunny to beach. You can join me and Stefan. We just talk the whole way. You won't get bored.
Nice. So that went
So
okay, did it? You did that one.
yeah, 14K. And this is really interesting actually, because I saw your reel on Instagram about the foam roller, and
Oh yeah.
after the race. And this is one of the things when we do these high impact things like running or like, you know, beat it and sweat and all of the things that we do to our bodies on the flip side. And I think this is why the massage is so lovely and it's so complementary, is then you need time to nurture your body and give it that nourishment, whether that is through the touch therapy, whether that is through a foam roller. And I watched, you know, I was like, I do. You told me to get a foam roller. And you then put it on Instagram. I was like, was that for me? Like, you've still not got a foam roller? Because I was sat there in pain because I didn't take the time, because it was on the beach and then I had to get back to the kids. I didn't take the time to stretch. And
Yeah,
it's all.
they help a lot. They do help a lot. A foam roller and a tennis ball it goes a long way to keep your body supple. And if there's any tight spots or injuries, niggles coming up, then they're really, really good tools to keep you supple. So I'd highly recommend you get one, and they're cheap.
So with your, do you like with your clients, and
Mm.
you know, you've obviously as a PT, you have a client, you have a portfolio of clients and you help people to transform their life through their fitness and their mobility. How do you support your clients through what you do?
Depends on the client and depends what they need. So I do a lot of stuff online. So that's the 4 week challenge, and I also do like one-to-one online coaching. So the 4 week challenge is more it's a group coaching model. So basically, I get these people to come into like a Facebook group, and then I'll explain what the plan is, what we're going to do. So we start off by I give them like a form to fill out. So it's called the initial consultation. So once they've filled that out, it will basically tell me what they want to get out of the challenge, what their goals are, if they've got any injuries, what equipment they've got available, whether they want to do it from a gym or at home, and a few other bits to help me basically make a plan specific to them. So I can go away and do that. I've got some software that I can put a program on for them. So that comes with like video demonstrations, and yeah, just making a good plan to suit them rather than, you know, here's a plan, go and do it, because that won't work for a lot of people. So I do that, and then we look at their diet. My main structure is having some kind of meal plan. So I ask everyone to make a meal plan. I give out lots of inspiration, but I think it's better to get people to learn how to make meal plans themselves. So rather than me saying this is what you've got to eat, and them going, oh, I had kids and they won't eat that, I don't have the ability to make that, whether it's like, you know, it's too expensive, or their cooking ability, or whether, you know, they haven't got a wok at home. There's lots of different factors into what they could potentially make, and I don't like my meals to be boring. So personally, I make an effort, even if I'm just eating for myself. Whether they just want to make, you know, pasta and vegetables, that's absolutely fine, but that's on them. So I encourage them to make their own meal plan, get them to send it to me, and then I will give them feedback. So, you know, eat more vegetables, eat more protein is generally the feedback. Anything from there, we look at their goals, and if they want to lose weight, we look at the amount of calories they're eating, and then yeah, just support them around that area basically. So those are the two main ones, and then they check in with me every week, and we have like mini challenges every week. So as part of a group, it's film yourself doing a plank, see how long you can do the plank for. And then last week we had someone win, and it was 2.5 minutes, so good amount of time to do a plank. But yeah, and then every week we do that. We have winners of the challenge as well. So for someone who's done very well in the challenge, I used to give out a cash prize. Now it's going more towards like a hoodie or something like that. And yeah, that's the challenge basically in a nutshell. One-to-one coaching is similar, where we do all of that, plus we look at your sleep and your stress as well. And it's we have like one-to-one calls and make sure we like dive deep into why aren't you getting your workouts in, why are you eating like this, what the issues are. Is it binge eating, or is it something else? So a little bit more support in the one-to-one coaching, which works really well. And then I go out to people's houses to train people, and that's generally just the hour of training, because if they wanted a like a nutrition support, that would be through the challenge. But yeah, a lot of people just want the session, and it's more for motivation for them to get out and do it, and make sure that they're working hard enough and doing the right things. But,
Yeah, 'cause I find that when like I really like group, I don't need a PT. I actually find too much pressure under PT. I
yeah,
still work really hard, but having like I work so much harder when you're there or someone's there, really encouraging me. And sometimes, you'll participate and then I'll keep up with you. And you go faster than I would normally go. And I think that's really great, because then you're coming out of your comfort zone again. And it's just, I think you get energy from someone, like when you get someone else's energy, and it's just different. I can't, I'm so bored. I could not just do the gym and go and run on a treadmill. It's so boring. And I just don't get anything from it. Whereas I think one of the beautiful things when you do like a workout, it's super holistic. It's full body. It's working all different muscle parts. It's realizing that we can't just ignore a part of our body. We have to nurture all of it, including nutrition. What we put into our bodies is so important. There's no point beasting your body if you're then going to go and eat a Big Mac.
yeah,
And it is, people don't, years and years ago, I really switched my diet into being more focused on protein, not giving up gluten, but eating a lot less bread. Not because I didn't I do like bread, but actually I realized that my body craves protein and whole food vegetables. Mostly my meals on a night I are like a tray bake of vegetables. Maybe I'll shove in some sweet potato or little bit of buckwheat. But I do a tray bake of vegetables with Parmigiano. I love Parmigiano, and
nice.
some roasted chicken with its skin on. The skin bit. And this is why I'm not really vegan yet, because I do love this part. But I feel like I'm so, my impact on the planet is so much better. I don't eat as much because protein is really filling. If I don't have protein in the morning, we did intermittent fasting at this retreat last
Oh yeah,
week, and I was so hungry by that, because I've got a really high metabolism as well, and I think that's because I nurture it really healthily. But it's just so interesting how you say that sometimes people just don't have the knowledge or the intuition to, because I was intuitively adding these things in and doing these things, and then I've read really great books from amazing nutritionists about whole food and how to cook things to release enzymes, what to eat raw and what not to eat raw, and things like that. And when I nerd out on these things, it becomes then part of my routine, because I'm habit stacking. I'm adding it to what I'm already doing. Like, making dinner. How can I make it 1% better this time? What can I add in? Last night, I cooked this hilarious meal for my kids with buckwheat, and they were like, "We're not eating buckwheat." And I was like, "Well, that's it." And then this morning, Harry did end up eating the whole thing, and I said to him in the car, I was like, "So what did you think then of the buckwheat?" And he's like, "Yeah, I really liked it."
oh nice.
So next time I'm not going to have a meltdown when I make it. No, mummy, because he did not want to try it. And that's what a lot of adults are like. They're like, I
Yeah,
don't like this. I don't eat fish. I don't want to do this. I want my chips. I want this. But then when you start to eat super good, you feel the impact of it as well. You feel the energy. You feel how it
yeah,
physically makes you feel and look. And then that you realize actually it's really tasty as well, because your taste change. Sometimes you're conditioned to need salt or all of the bad stuff, when actually I've always been a bit of a rabbit. I remember on the trading floor, people used to say, Em's got a rabbit food again or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, got my rabbit food. and I don't care because I don't care what people think either, you know.
Yeah,
And I think that's one of the things, we have to not care about what anyone else is saying, and it's so super important to do that.
yeah. I mean, it's funny. It's funny when people start to eat healthy. People, if you're eating healthy, people assume that you're on a diet. But
Mm.
why not? Why can't you just eat healthy all the time? Um, but
Yeah,
also going back to the sugar thing, you create a bit of a tolerance for sugar. So if you think of it as like sugar in a tea, if you always put sugar in the tea and then you drink a tea without the sugar, it's gonna taste really like not sweet, isn't it? So the more you build up the sugar, the less you're gonna be less you're gonna be able to taste the sweet stuff. You know what I mean? If that
yeah,
makes any sense. Um,
it does. It does. Your taste buds will get used to what you feed it,
mm,
um, and makes adjustments to it naturally. So you'll think that you have a sweet tooth if you feed whatever you feed is going to
yeah,
grow. It's like that analogy. There is a quote of whatever you feed will grow. You know, really feed the things that you want to
mm,
see and make changes in. I don't have sugar in my tea. When I have a spoonful of honey, I'm like, oh, this is good, but then I don't crave it. Yes,
yeah,
I have it when I've got a cold or I'm feeling a little bit like rundown. I will then think, oh, I'm going to put some honey in, and then I'm like, oh, I could do this more often, but I never do because I don't crave it. It's really empowering to make those changes. Ah, Luke, it's been so lovely to chat to you here and just go a little bit deeper on kind of getting to know you a little bit more. I've just got two more little questions just to kind of spin fire out of today's chat with you. What
okay.
is your focus right now in your life and business? What's important to you right now?
My focus at the moment is getting back into business a little bit more. Before, well, before I guess during Bali, it kind of took a bit of a hit because I was off work for 6 weeks. So getting back into things was a bit of a bit of a bit of a bump, if you like. And before Bali, I was doing something completely different. I was just working in a gym most of the time. So now I'm not. It's just kind of everything's getting back to kind of a stable, almost routine, but not quite, because it is quite sporadic. But
Maintaining that spontaneity, but maybe bringing in a little bit more routine for you.
yeah, I love spontaneity, and yeah, I will end up booking something kind of last minute. I'm sure at some point.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
that's the benefit of living the life that I do.
Yeah.
That's why I love it. But yeah, I need to work on my yoga a little bit more because I've just been given uh, a yoga class by Saunton, so I've now got a weekly class that I'm
Oh,
going
where's
to.
that? What time?
That is Thursdays at 7:30 a.m. So it's
Oh,
quite quite early.
I'm not a morning member now. I'm twilight only.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh,
Well,
never mind. That sounds
uh,
amazing though. And then the more you do that, the more you even do it in your practice as you're doing it as your, you know, your business.
yeah,
You then embody that into your own life, which is why I love doing what I
totally.
love, right?
Mm. Yeah,
So what does wealth mean to you? If you were to just explain wealth, what does wealth mean to you in a nutshell?
wealth means to me. What a broad question. I think wealth is, well, health and freedom. For me, having the ability to do what I love, so work wise, and you know, things like hobbies. I love getting out in the open. I love to be able to go, you know, on holiday if I want to. If I feel if I'm feeling the itch to go on an adventure somewhere, then it's lovely to be able to do that. But also, you know, the people around me is a big one. I love people. I love to be social. So having a good group of friends as well, and I have pockets of friends all over the place, and they all kind of have their own bits going on, which is great. So I have, you know, some friends that love festivals, other friends that love fitness and running, and I'm just kind of in the middle doing it all. So I love
Dipping
that.
in and out, but that's your spontaneity. It feels like adventure is really at the heart of your wealth. I wrote the word adventure down then, like
Yeah,
adventure, when you could create a life of adventure, your lifestyle is one big adventure.
yeah,
That's really abundant, right?
yeah. No, it's great. I love it. And yeah, and that's why I like the online work as well, because potentially if all else fails, I could go to Bali and work online and just travel, which I
Yeah.
also love. And I've got a van that I've kind of converted the back into a bit of a bed. So earlier this year, I did 2 weeks. I drove down to Italy and around there and through the Dolomites into the mountains with Dora, which was lovely. But yeah, lots of different adventures. Um, Currently looking into doing a paragliding license as well. So um, lots of yeah,
That sounds fun.
spontaneity.
That sounds brilliant.
Yeah,
I love that. I
yeah,
love that. Oh, amazing. Just keep going. It just sounds incredible. It's so inspiring. And your energy comes out in buckets when, whether in person or online on Instagram. So
yeah. Good
thank you so much for giving up your time today, Luke.
pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, my love.